What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here at MattyFish33 on YouTube. Sorry, I got a little frog in my voice. But anyways, guys, in today's video, I'm going to talk about something that could save your fish's life. For those of you that have large aquariums, large fish, things like that. So a couple days ago, our building announced that they were going to cut the power out today for about 7 or so hours. So I never had any type of battery operated backup bubbler, which you can see I still have it there. I haven't taken it back out the tank yet. And I never had a battery backup because our building has a power generator, so it wasn't really necessary for me until this event occurred. However, you know, for those of you that do not live in a big apartment building that has a generator that kicks on immediately, I'm going to talk about a couple things that could really help your fish in the event of a power outage, especially if you know that it's going to happen beforehand, which I know oftentimes we don't. So we're going to talk about some things that'll help with that, and then we will talk about some things to do if you know you're going to have a power outage, or just in the event that maybe you only have one filtration source and maybe it dies and it's the middle of the night or something. So these are some different things that can help, right, guys? So first and foremost, battery operated bubbler, right? No cable. And actually the best part about this one here, this one is USB powered. So I don't even need to plug it in. Actually, it's got a great run time. It's been on about since 9 a.m. and we're right around 6 p.m. So it's been running for 9 hours and it's running very strong, you know? I mean, most of these little battery operated things is only rated for smaller tanks, but trust me, it's gonna do the job. Look at the amount of oxygen that's coming out of this. I mean, that's pretty good for that tiny little thing. And it kept my fish okay all day. One other thing that I got too that helped me as well, I got a battery bank that I plugged everything into. I know some people that are electricians or self-made electricians out there might say, oh, well, you're kind of daisy chaining it. Well, I'm sorry, guys, but I read up on this and I read all this information to this unit, and it said that I can plug a power strip into it. I just can't plug power strip from the wall to it. So we are A-okay. Anyways, guys, sorry, a little bit of a rant there. So the other thing that I had done too was I just plugged my heater back in before I started filming. I unplugged my heater because, I mean, a heater, this one's 200 watts. Really, most people might say, oh, it's not big enough for a tank, but like honestly, our apartment stays really nice and warm as long as you have a consistent room temperature. I'm gonna tell you, you don't need a 400 watt heater for a 200 gallon tank. Really, like, guys, I have a 200 watt heater on this tank, and right now my water's at 78. That was 78.7, I think it says, and that was with the heater off all day. I literally just plugged it back in 5 minutes ago. And my heater is going to put my water at about 79.8, right around 80 degrees, and that's where it's going to be. So it's more than sufficient for this tank. But what do you do? Oh, also, guys, I did do, because this tank has canister filters, I did do a water test just to make sure that there wasn't anything weird going on with the power having been out for several hours. Which, as you can see, if anybody is familiar with those API charts, sorry, I'm not going to go grab it right now, but this is perfect. This is what you want to see every time. 0 ammonia and about 5 parts per million nitrates. So, you know, having these plants up here definitely helps as well. And then I'm going to talk about some other things, guys. So these guys were on battery backup. However, what I'm going to say, that power bank, so for future, it was a good learning point. Thank God I didn't have any issues this time. But for future, I now know what I can and can't run and how long that battery bank is going to last. I had everything but the 200 watt heater because it obviously 200 watts is going to waste a lot of energy. Had everything but that 200 watt heater and the lights plugged into it. Those were the things that were off of it because I know those are the highest usage. But both FX6, all three of the power heads were plugged into that. I think my wife was home. I had to be working. But that kept the power on to the tank for about 3.5, maybe 4 hours. So they were without filtration for maybe 2.5 hours only. And then that's where this little battery operated bubbler dude came into play. And like I said, guys, as you can see, really tiny unit, really compact, but really nice output. I will take it back out of there, obviously, though. Not going to leave it in all the time. So let's talk about a couple of other things, too. We'll go to the 112 real fast. So, in this tank, I didn't have a battery bank on this tank. However, the majority of the fish in this tank, hold on, let me turn the blue light down for you guys. Sorry, that's a little bit bright, isn't it? Hold on. There we go. Some more green. Should be a little better on the eyes now, guys. So, the reason that I didn't put a battery bank on this tank, well, there's a couple reasons. One, this tank is obviously on the sump. And I made sure, so if you have a sump, make sure that your water level is always the right way, or that you have a check valve. I don't have a check valve installed in my sump, guys. But I also figured out a way to set this sump up so that my water is never going to overflow. Where it's at right now, if I were to lose power, it's probably going to stop about midway up that bulkhead. You see where I've marked it here. Got my minimum line here, and I got where I'd like it to stay about, and those are my two lines on the sump. So this tank, having a sump and having smaller fish, the sump really has nothing to do with the power. I was just kind of talking about it for a second for those of you that have sumps, or those of you that might be wanting to set up a sump especially, on a couple important details for if the power ever goes out. But the biggest reason why I put another one of these little battery bubblers on here, and you can see that one's going nice and strong too. Didn't drop it down as low because I wasn't too sure how much I could lower it into the water and have it run because it was such a small pump. Which I kind of tested it last night, but you know, I only did it at like mid-water level. This one drifted up. Obviously, the other one floated down. Pressure's no problem, guys. Both tanks are 30 inches deep. So, you know, those little things, I can't say enough about them. They put out a great deal of energy and a nice bit amount of air. So, if you guys would like to know who makes them, I'm not going to plug it in the video, but comment down below and I can certainly try and share a link or something like that. You can just pick them up at a Petco, pretty much any pet store for the most part. And I think each one was about 25 bucks, so not a bad deal. But back to the reason why I did not put a battery bank on this tank and I just put a bubbler on this tank. So all these fish are significantly smaller than all those fish, obviously. So I kind of just felt like with the size of these fish and me knowing the power was only going to be out for 6 to 8 hours, I knew that with the amount of oxygen that was probably going to be provided by that it would be just fine for these guys. Most of these fish are 4 inches or smaller. You know, the exception to that is probably going to be our bumblebee here, our Sila tilapia, and then like our big Nairai and our thick barred Chitimba and our Eastern Happy are all a little over 4 inches, maybe 4.5 inches. And same thing with our Sokolfi. But everybody else in here is under 4 inches. Oh, also that one big clown loach as well. See, I keep contradicting myself, guys. Sorry for that. But they're a lot smaller, so they're not going to produce as much waste. That is the important thing here. Oxygen and surface tension breakage to release any gases and stuff that might be building up. let me go back to the big boy tank, and we'll keep talking about that. Sorry guys, these guys are really moving around because I didn't feed them the day before either, because I was trying to make sure that their guts were as empty as they could be, so that the fish weren't pooping a lot when the power was out and producing waste, and therefore creating ammonia in the nitrogen cycle, because that's what your waste creates and that's what your beneficial bacteria feeds off. But guys, so that being said, those are some key tools and some very important things for you to have around if your power is going to go out. It could save your fish's life one day. Now, what do you do if you don't have those things available? Okay, so I talked about surface tension breakage, right? It helps release gases in your nitrogen cycle, guys, right? Sorry, I'm opening the lids here for you. But it helps release gases in your nitrogen cycle a little bit. Any gases that may be trapped in the water column that haven't made it down into your filtration to be consumed by your beneficial bacteria, right? So look at all this surface movement. That's when, this is just the normal surface movement with all the power heads and stuff. All that water tension gets broke, so it's dispersion. Now, I'm not going to turn it off right now, but you can see, if I can get the right angle for you guys, I'm not sure. There, maybe. All right, let's just say that you did. There we go. So you can see all those oxygen bubbles traveling upwards. So the oxygen is attaching itself to the water column, and what is actually coming up is different gases that may be being released from the water column. Obviously there's air coming out, but the actual oxygen that is coming out of this air that is being pumped in releases into the water column. So really helps if your filtration is off for an extended period of time. Helps a little bit. Another thing you can do, take your hand or bucket, whatever you want to prefer. With these guys, I'd probably be more into grabbing a scoop or a bucket or something like that, just because I didn't want to get my fingers nipped, perhaps. But what you can do is every so often, every 20-30 minutes, if you don't have filtration, you can swish the top of your water and break that tension, especially if you don't have an air bubbler. I wouldn't recommend it for fish this size, but in a smaller fish tank, it could be effective too. You can also do water changes if your water is not off with your power. Monitor your water every few hours, and if you see a heavy spike or something like that, then and you can do a water change to get some of that ammonia buildup that could potentially happen out of there. So those are some very important things, guys, that can save the lives of your fish. So there's no need to stress. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to stress in the event of a power outage, but there's no need to worry while you stress, I guess. I don't know, for lack of a better way of putting it, guys. But as you can see, these guys are all doing just fine. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of give them a quick bite, because I know they are starving. So I'm going to show you guys that real fast. Alright guys, so let me close this left side here, because these guys tend to get splashy. But as you can see, they are learning. I've been kind of training them a little bit. If they come up and splash, the lid's been open for a while, so they're not doing it right now. But see, if the lid's closed, they're not going to do it until I walk away and come back or something like that. But they used to come all the way up, and for those of you that had a lot of cichlids, that it could be like entering the splash zone at SeaWorld. So real quick before I end this video, while I feed them, a way to prevent that, if they all bunch up at the top and they want to act like they're going to start sloshing and splashing, I just close the lid and I take a quick step back, and then I wait, and then they all disperse. And now, my guys, for the most part, they don't splash that much anymore because they're used to it. They go, oh, I'm not going to get fed if I'm splashing. So that's it, guys. And this is just a little mix of Ron's cichlid food, some omega-1, and some Flu Vault bug bites. They get these once a day, And then they also get their rotation of their other foods, like their proteins and their actual proteins, and not just crude processed protein as well. So they have a really well-rounded diet, guys. So if you would like to see a video on the feeding of these fish, the diet, the rotation that I provide to them, let me know in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Please click that bell, get those notifications, follow us on this journey. And remember, guys, please don't just skip through this video, guys. We need to get some watch time so that we can get monetized and do some bigger things for this channel. And secondarily, as I told you, this is some information that could save the life of your fish one day. Not only save the life of the fish that you love, but also save your bank too, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys, like where this stocking is in this tank right now, we're probably approaching $3,000 in fish in here, if not a little more. I haven't done the math in a while, but I can if you guys would like to. But anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day. Matty Fish out.